Play the music. How was lunch? Wait, I can't see anything. For me, it was delicious enough that I couldn't wear my coat afterwards. No problems if you have tummy. So welcome back on board once again. Sit back. Fasten your seatbelts. I can hear a mobile phone. Please ensure electronic devices are switched off. We're good to go. So this session, we're beginning with a performance. As you all know, India is a land of rich culture and heritage. And one of our greatest assets is music in all its various forms. One among them, Carnatic music. With its beautiful swaras and alapanas, I consider it something truly divine because it drives the listener away from all the negativity to an ocean of peace. Now imagine a perfect blend of mind-healing Carnatic music with the exciting beats of the Western world. That's Project Mishram for you. A group of 7 super talented souls who bring out a unique sound of music that will keep your heart racing and your soul excited. Please put your hands together for Project Mishram.
What's up, TEDx NitteDU? Give me some noise! I can't hear you! People on my right, make some noise on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Go! That was not cheap stealing. This is Kala theme song. Just before you think we just jokes apart, we are called Project Mishram. Thank you for all your energy, and we are a progressive Carnatic fusion band, and we hope you like our performance today. So, how are you guys doing? Uta jasti aita. How are you guys doing? So we are super excited, super stoked, and we'll begin with our first song. We present to you the most recent composition of Project Mishram that represents 2 gunas or characteristics present in the human mind. The first one is the demonic characteristic that is called tamas. It represents anger, lust, and everything negative. And sattva, which is the godly characteristic. This song is called Tamasa. da pa ma ga re sa ni ga ma pa da ma pa da ni pa da ni sa ni da pa ma da pa ma ga re sa ni ga ma pa da ma pa da ni pa da ni sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni ga ni sa ni da ni sa ni da pa da ni sa ni da pa ma da pa ma ga re ma ma ga re sa ni ga ma pa da ida ba ma da ba ma ga re sa ni ga ma pa da ni sa ni ga ni sa ni da da ni sa ni ma ma pa da ni sa ni da ba ma da ba ma ga re sa ni ga ma pa da ni sa ni ga ni sa ni da da ni sa ni ma pa da ni ga ma pa da ni sa ni da ba ma da ba ma ga re sa ni ga ma pa da ma pa da ni pa da ni sa ni da ba ma da ba ma ga re ma ga re Sambhajam Chakrinam Haram Srimadam Mahadevam Nijadanavabanjanam Achyutam Kalaram Mahadam Shrayutam Paramradam Vajanam Trivikramam Nidinacham Bhagavatsam Lodam Aghoram Adbhutam Bhagavatam Nirgunam Sadashivam Narasimham Sambhajam Chakrinam Haram Srimadam Mahadevam Nijadanavabanjanam Achyutam Kalaram Mahadam Shrayutam Paramradam Vajanam Trivikramam Nidinacham Bhagavatsam Thank you so much. So I'm sure you would have wondered at a particular section you would have heard a violin solo. The seventh member was actually Pranav Swaroop, and on a short notice he had to leave to the US to pursue his higher studies. So instead of replacing it with some other instrument, we wanted to keep his original essence in the song, because that is the magic that was there in the song. So we hope you like the song. Did you guys like the song? Yeah? Please do go check out the studio version also. And huge round of applause to our sound engineer Tejas Nair, who's here. You can see the magic here as well as on the video that's on YouTube. It's called Tamasat, T-A-M-A-S-A-D. Moving on to the next song. So the first song was very philosophical, human characteristics and so much in the mind. Now we just go batshit crazy. And how many of you have played Road Rash? The game Road Rash? A lot of 90s kids here. Yep. And we are also 90s kids. And so we just thought, you know, we'll give an ode to the 90s. How many of you know the cheat code in Road Rash? Anybody? These are the smart ones. So it's called XYZZY Spoon Shift 1. So Spoon Shift 1 is the name of the song. And yeah, so an ode to the 90s. And we hope you'll like it. Check. Anirudh on the flute. Time for Suman's guitar solo. Thank you. That's from Road Drives. Wow, that was tiring. Guys are sitting nicely in AC, enjoying the sound. Also, I'm very thin, so it takes very less energy to. Yeah, so we gave it our all. So we hope you liked it. I thought they'll be silent, very scary. So yeah, Tamasat over, Spoon Shift over. How many of you have heard Nagumomo mashup by Project Mishra? Okay, okay. How many of you have heard the Kriti Nagumomu Ganale by Saint Tyagaraja? Okay. How many of you watch the TV series Game of Thrones? Aha. Why do you watch it? Okay. How many Iron Maiden fans here? Okay, a few. EDM, dance music, all party goers. Okay. How many of you listen to Carnatic classical music? Wow. Bale, bale. And Hindustani classical music. Same people are raising hands. Open minds. So why I was asking all these questions is, we are taking all these kinds of music and making a mishram. Mishram is mixture or fusion in Sanskrit. So we are going to make a gadbad ice cream. It won't be gadbad, but we are going to make a mixture, sambar, whatever you call it, into one song. And this is called the Nagumomo mashup. So last song today. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? People on my left, are you guys ready? On my right, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Yeah. Check. This is a Taniyavathan. Clap. Are you ready? Come on! Put your hands up in the air. 1, 2, 3, let's dance! One, two, three. Can you please take out your phones, turn on your flashlights, and wave with us? Yeah? TEDx NitteDU! We are stupid question. Sorry. One last time. No, generally when we tell please like our Facebook videos and all that, they'll be like, Project Mishram, yes, yes. And then 3 days later, they'll forget, oh, what was that done? That's why, no. So we are Project Mishram. If you liked our performance, please do go like our page on Facebook. And if you do it now, it would be amazing because we are almost nearing 3,000 likes. So let's see how it goes. And we have a channel on YouTube, same name, Project Mishram, M-I-S-H-R-A-M. On my right, Sumant on the guitar. Sanat Shanbog on drums and mridangam. Mangaluru Udgappa, innu jorage. Anirudh on the flute. Myself, Shivraj, on beatboxing and vocals. Ram Srinivas on the bass. Sri Shankar on the guitar. Vidwan Pranav Swaroop on the violin. You heard us. We'll send this to America. And finally, the biggest round of applause to Tejas Nair on the sounds. He was just amazing. Did you guys enjoy the sounds there? Was it powerful? And here it was powerful. That's the most important thing. We were able to enjoy our own performance. So one more round of applause to Tejas. Yeah. And finally, with 18 seconds left, we'll take a selfie with you guys. Are you ready? Tejas, can you please?
One.
Check, check. Thank you so much for having us here. Huge round of applause to yourselves. You've been an amazing audience.
Don't go.
And huge thanks to TEDx NitteDU for having us here. You guys have been amazing.
Sure, sure.
You've treated us amazing. Thank you so much. We enjoyed it. Thank you.
Before you go, hold on. They came in like these Tamil Iyengars, all humble, simple. Huh? And they took a different avatar on stage. What happens when you put that guitar on? It's I learned my lesson. Looks can be deceiving. This is just to get the attention of the audience. And lungis are also, it's a belt. What is it?
Belt.
But all these misfits are the perfect things for them. Amazing performance. Big round of applause. Especially, where is that sound coming in from, bro? Dub, doom. This is a token of appreciation. Please. On behalf of NitteDU, this is a token of appreciation. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Check. How many of you in the audience are yet to receive a spam mail till date? Is there anyone who hasn't received a spam mail till now? Anyone? You might have received one as we speak. Have you ever replied to one? Anyone who has ever replied to a spam mail? No? You have replied. Okay. So, you might have received different spam mails. Some might go like tempting you to invest in a business that's extremely, suspiciously very profitable. They want you to invest in it. Or it might be like claiming that you have won a lottery, but you don't remember purchasing the ticket for it. But they claim that you have won the lottery. Or it might be really hilarious. It might be from a far-off distant relative, a second cousin, let's say, who is on vacation in a distant island. He would have lost his wallet, debit card, credit card, phones, everything, contacts. But surprisingly remembers your mail ID. And he shoots you a mail asking for financial aid to come back to the country. How many of you received a mail like that? I have received one. So what do? First thing, we try to delete it. But there are a few of us who would like to reply to it. Next is a video of James Veach. He's a comedian come writer who takes us on a month-long journey of a hilarious conversation that he had with a spammer who offers him a good cut on a hot deal. So what's this? Is really hilarious. This is what happens when you reply to a spam mail. James Veach.
Sir, lights off. Sir, lights off. Coming off the light. Bring it down.
A few years ago, I got one of those spam emails. And it managed to get through my spam filter. I'm not quite sure how, but it's turned up in my inbox, and it was from a guy called Solomon Odonka. I know. It went like this. It said, hello, James Veach. I have an interesting business proposal I want to share with you, Solomon. Now, my hand was kind of hovering on the delete button. Right? As you are, I was looking at my phone. I thought, I could just delete this. Or I could do what I think we've all always wanted to do. And I said, Solomon, your email intrigues me. And the game was afoot. He said, Dear James Veach, we shall be shipping gold to you. You will earn 10% of any gold you distribute. So I knew I was dealing with a professional. I said, how much is it worth? He said, we will start with a smaller quantity. I was like, ah. And then he said, of 25 kilograms. The worth should be about 2.5 million. I said, Solomon, if we're going to do it, let's go big. I can handle it. How much gold do you have? He said, it's not a matter of how much gold. How much is you're capable of handling? What? We can start with 50 kilograms as a trial shipment. I said, 50 kilograms? There's no point doing this at all. No, so shipping at least a metric ton. So what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a hedge fund executive bank manager. This isn't the first time I've shipped bullion, my friend. No, no, no. Then I started to panic. I was like, now look, where are you based? I don't know about you, but I think we're going via the postal service. It ought to be signed for. Right, that's a lot of gold. He said, it will not be easy to convince my company to do a larger quantity shipment. And I said, Solomon, I'm completely with you on this one. I'm putting together a visual for you to take into the board meeting. Hold tight. This is what I sent Solomon. I don't know if we have any statisticians in the house, but there's definitely something going on. I said, if someone attach this email, you'll find a helpful chart. I've had one of my assistants run the numbers. We need to be receiving as much gold as possible. There was always a moment where they try to tug your heartstrings, and this was it for Solomon. He said, I will be so much happy if the deal goes well, because I'm going to get a very good commission as well. And I said, that's amazing. What are you going to spend your cut on? And he said, on real estate. What about you? I thought about it for a long time. And I said one word. Hummus. It's going places. I was in Sainsbury's the other day, and there are like 30 different varieties. Also, you can cut up carrots, and you can dip them. Have you ever done that? Solomon! I said, I have to go to bed now. Till tomorrow. Have sweet dreams. I didn't know what to say. I said, bonsoir, my golden nugget, bonsoir. Guys, you have to understand, this has been going for like weeks, albeit hitherto the greatest weeks of my life, but I had to knock it on the head. It was getting a bit out of hand. Friends were saying to me, James, do you want to come out for a drink? I was like, I can't, mate, I'm expecting an email about some gold. So I figured I had to knock it on the head. I had to take it to a ridiculous conclusion. So I thought, I concocted a plan. I said, look, Solomon, I'm concerned about security. When we email each other, we need to use a code. And he agreed. And I said, Solomon, I spent all night coming up with this code. We need to use it in all further correspondence. Lawyer. Gummy bear. Bank, cream egg. Legal, Fizzy-Cola bottle, claim peanut M&Ms, documents, jelly beans, Western Union. Guys, a giant gummy lizard. I knew these are all words they use, right? I said, please call me Kit Kat and all further correspondence. I didn't hear back. I thought, I've gone too far. I've gone too far. So I had to backpedal a little bit. I said, look, Solomon, is the deal still on? Kit Kat. Because you have to be consistent. Then I did get an email back from him. He said, the business is on, I'm trying, blah, 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 blah. I said, dude, you have to use the code. What followed is the greatest email I've ever received. I'm not joking. This is what turned up in my inbox. This was a good day. The business is on. And I'm trying to raise the balance for the gummy bear. So he can submit all the needed Fizzy-Cola bottle jelly beans to the cream egg for the peanut M&Ms process to start. Send £1,500 via a giant gummy lizard. And that was so much fun, right? That it got me thinking, like, what would happen if I just spent as much time as I could replying to as many scam emails as I could? And that's what I've been doing for 3 years on your behalf. Yeah. Let me tell you, crazy stuff happens when you start replying to scam emails. It's really difficult, and I highly recommend we do. I don't think what I'm doing is mean, right? You know, there are a lot of people out there who do mean things to scammers. I don't think what I'm doing, all I think I do is all I'm doing is wasting their time. Right? And I think any time they're spending with me is time they're not spending scamming vulnerable adults out of their savings, right? If you're going to do this, and I highly recommend you do, get yourself a pseudonymous email address. Don't use your own email address, because that's exactly what I was doing at the start, and it was a nightmare. Because, you know, I'd wake up in the morning and have like 1,000 emails about penis enlargements, you know, only one of which was a legitimate response to a medical question. But I tell you what, though, guys, I tell you what, any day is a good day. Any day is a good day if you receive an email that begins like this. I am Winnie Mandela, the second wife of Nelson Mandela, the former South African president. I was like, oh, that Winnie Mandela. I know so many. I need to transfer $45 million out of the country because of my husband Nelson's health condition. Let that sink in. She sent me this, which is hysterical. And this looks fairly legitimate. This is a letter of authorization, but to be honest, if there's nothing written on it, it's just a shape. I said, Winnie, I'm really sorry to hear of this. Given that Nelson died 3 months ago, I describe his health condition as... That's the worst health condition you can have, not being alive. She said, kindly comply with my banker's instructions. One love. I said, of course, no woman, no cry. She said, my banker will need transfer of $3,000. One love. I said, no problemo. I shot the sheriff. Thank you.
Do you notice something? What? What did you notice? Bindi. Bindi. It used to be called the third eye. The eye of spirituality. The eye that recognizes the inner beauty. Back in the good old days, they used to say how you place the bindi, like how it's placed in the center of the forehead. God was supposed to be placed in the center of our lives. That was the significance back then. But now it's more of a fashion statement or a style statement. And our next speaker is a Limca Book World Record holder for her distinctive ability to create bindi designs. And to her credit, she has never repeated one. Now, don't just call her a bindi designer, because she's also a co-producer of Wild Elephant Motion Pictures, a film and content production company that has come up with many award-winning feature films like Lapa Chapi, a feature film against female feticide. And I'm pretty sure ma'am would be judging the way I speak, my attire, and my body language, because she's a self-taught image consultant. Smile Foundation Mumbai recognized her as a woman of substance. The bindi designer, producer, and the image consultant, the dynamic and bubbly Aruna Bhatt. All the best.
Good afternoon. My name is Aruna Bhatt, and I'm fashionably recognized and popularly known by a name, almost a term of endearment now, Funky Bindi Queen. Strange as it may seem, it didn't really start that way. My sister and I are byproducts of a marriage between two people, both of whom belong to highly conservative Brahmin families. And considering they were working professionals, it was amazing that they upheld all their conservative values. Chief among them was the importance of that little black dot in the center of the forehead. And black was the color because we were still really tiny and therefore unmarried. Our older girl cousins had actually graduated to the color red as and when they got married. So as little kids, this is how we looked. That's my sister and me with a dot on the forehead. Wherever we went for our little holidays, we had to go with that bindi stuck there on the forehead. And that was me as a kid, don't miss the dot. And my mother clearly seemed to have a strong intuition of what was going to happen to that forehead space in the years to come. So you can see the size of the dot in that picture as well. As we grew older and we felt that we were a little more in control of our lives and a few decisions we could make for ourselves, my sister and I decided to not wear that little black dot. Little did we know that our very existence would be belittled for that act of defiance. I remember the taunts my sister and I had to listen to. Worse still, our mother had to endure, and she was told, you don't know how to bring up your daughters with the right values. She was taunted, she was said very unfair things, and she was said, how can you allow your girls to walk around with a look befitting a widow, as a bare forehead look was ungraciously referred to. Widows, unfortunately, to this day have to walk around, sporting bare minimums in monochromes, and that, is in existence in many parts of our country. So to save our mother, all the unsavory comments and the taunts and the ordeal, my sister and I decided to walk around everywhere with that little black dot on the forehead. My sister, being the good older child, would listen to whatever our elders had told her and would wear that little dot dutifully. But me, being the second sibling and therefore slightly defiant, I decided to make it very, very known that I didn't approve of it in the least, and that I found it absolutely and utterly uncool. So what I started doing is, moments before we had to meet with relatives, I would quickly slap on a sticker bindi on my forehead. And as soon as we were done meeting with them, I'd peel it off as well, till I got caught by the family elders on more occasions than one. And I was told, hello, use that little black kajal. So the sticker bindis were very easy to deal with, but that sticky black kajal was a messy, smudgy affair. That is exactly what gave rise to all the experimentation that I started with. So the black kajal had what I called country cousins, the color red and the color white. So I started using them in tandem. So I would normally draw a black dot in the middle and draw a couple of lines over it, above it, under it, all kinds of experimentation, like in this picture. And where it's just the black color that I've used. Or sometimes I would use just the country cousins and I would make a tiny little bindi. And mind you, they were all tiny because the minute it got a little large, the last thing we wanted was our mother to go through some more grief than she already was going through. In 1997, I moved to Bombay. And the girl with the dot on the forehead seemed to be given a new lease of life. That forehead space seemed to transform itself. My forehead became my canvas. Bindis started to climb towards the sky and cover the expanse of my forehead. And they got very colorful because I discovered, a box of color. I started experimenting with other things as well, like holy ash, vibhuti, which was freely available in all temples in Bombay, particularly the Sai Baba temples. And I would use lipstick, I've used eyeliner, I've used anything I could think of. There was one time when I used the sticky part of a band-aid and stuck that on my forehead and drew lines around it. So in Bombay, nobody really seemed to mind the kind of designs I had on my forehead or what I did with it. So I walked around sometimes with a wine glass that I chose to draw on my forehead. I would lift a pretty little bit of a pattern on the sari and make that into a bindi. And here I am where my pendant became my own muse, and I had drawn a bit of the pendant on the forehead. And experimenting and letting people know that an eyeliner can make a fantastic bindi as well. So while I was a happy little shining star in Bombay, when I came back home here to Mangalore, things were exactly where I left them last. So I still remember the unsavory comments, the rude things that people would say, etc., etc. And I remember one particular incident very, very clearly. So I had drawn a horizontal eye on my forehead, and I had put tiny little red flowers on the inside, made it look quite pretty. And a friend's uncle actually walked up to me and said, "Have you drawn your vagina on your forehead?" I was deeply humiliated and extremely shocked by that reaction, and it's only because my sister and my cousin were with me that day. They were the ones who actually got me out of there without saying a word. When I went back home and I thought about it, I realized I was brave enough to be me. And there was something clearly different about me. And think about it. It's a point for all of us to think about. We don't really know what to do with people who are different. The best reaction that comes out of us is to laugh. That's what we do to people who are different. The horizontal eye is still one of my favorite basic designs. I still do it quite often and of course do some intricate stuff around it. And believe you me, I'm most tempted every time I draw a horizontal eye to take a picture and send it to that uncle and say, I'm still drawing vaginas on my forehead. So what happened after that? A chance encounter with the editor of the Limca Book of Records opened doors I never, ever imagined would happen to me. So she walked up to me and said, what's that on your forehead? I said, it's my expression of a bindi. She said, how long do you take to do it? I said, within a minute. She double-checked. She said, you draw it yourself? I said, yes, I do. She said, do you realize you can qualify in the record books? I said, oh, wow. And I actually got into the Limca Book of Records. The day I got into the Limca Book of Records, I actually laughed till I cried. My big, funky bindis, the very thing that was utter taboo within my own family, within our relatives, with people we knew back home in Mangalore, was the very thing that was going to become my identity, and I was very soon going to also find my extraordinary in that process. With the advent of the easily accessible internet, I started doing a lot of research on the bindi, on its connection with the Ajna Chakra, with the third eye, the seat of consciousness where the bindi rests, the Ajna Chakra and its command over the other glands of the body, like the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, the endocrine gland. And I was amazed that the bindi could actually charge the Ajna Chakra into functioning even better. You will be amazed to note that we in India are the only ones who actually believe that the Ajna Chakra can be manually triggered by the application of the bindi. This leads me to a very interesting conversation that I had with a psychic and a healer, Ashmita Goel. Ashmita wanted to test the effectiveness of wearing the bindi using different forms like vibhuti or holy ash, sandalwood paste, liquid bindi, and a sticker bindi. So through the method, using a pendulum and the method of dowsing, they wanted to infer the effectiveness of this on the Ajna Chakra. You will not believe me when I tell you what she told me. She says after application of the vibhuti first and the sandalwood paste after that, the pendulum swung like there was no tomorrow. With the liquid bindi, the kind that I use, the effectiveness was slightly less, and with the sticker bindi, it had come down to about 20%. What it goes to show is that the Ajna Chakra gets charged immaterial of what you use, whatever the form you may use. That's the thing that came out of this whole thing. And this leads me to another point. You might ask, what exactly is it that the Ajna Chakra and the bindi have to do with one another? The act of applying the bindi on the... Am I losing you? Hello? Check, check. The act of applying the bindi on the Ajna Chakra charges the chakra and seals the energy inside the Ajna Chakra, and because the Ajna Chakra commands all the other chakras of the body, that is exactly what helps us perform throughout the day. And voila, I seem to have found the reason for my extraordinary confidence. The information that I'm sharing with you is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that's available on the internet, and I truly, truly don't want to bother or bore any of you with stuff that's available on the internet. Coming back to me, I never step out of the house without drawing a bindi on the forehead. And when I think back about all the information that we have learnt, and I had learnt through the process of the internet, etc., I realized that had this information been shared to us as kids, we would have passed this information on to the future generation. And unfortunately, that has not happened because we, during our time, were forced to wear it, and it appeared almost like it was some kind of a superstition than any kind of a scientific reason to wear it. So this is something that bites me even now, that I wish people had told us, instead of saying it just keeps evil away, therefore please wear that little dot. So I make sure that I wear a bindi immaterial of where I'm going and what the occasion is. I remember going for the funeral of a very dear friend's mother-in-law. The lady in her living years never called me by my name Aruna and always would call me Bindiya. And she was absolutely in love with all my bindis, hence of course the Bindiya. So because of the somber occasion that it was, I went around with a tiny little bindi on my forehead. The daughter-in-law actually called me aside and she said, you know, my mother-in-law's soul, which is clearly hovering around here, will not recognize you today. So don't do this again. When you come for the remaining 3 days, please make sure you draw your big bindis. That for me was a huge lesson. Wherever across I go in the country, people seem to quite have a big smile on their forehead, at least when they see my bindi, but in one place. And I really don't know why, but people in Gujarat have a strange reaction when they see me. So they huddle together like I'm some kind of an apparition that's come out of another planet entirely, or they'll suddenly nudge each other and, you know, in groups, and suddenly there's a group of about 4 or 5 that'll form and they'll walk in front of me looking like that and trying to figure out what to do with me. I've even had a man who walked into a pillar staring at me with his jaw that had reached the knee. Yes, I've had these kind of reactions. But what I normally do is I've reached that state, a Zen state, and I happily wave like a diva the minute I see somebody, you know, coming together in groups, and because I know what's going to follow right after. But wherever I travel the world over, be it New York or London or anywhere else in between, my forehead has been admired for the work that is on it, and therefore I get all the credit for it. I remember in New York in the subway, I was once asked if I was the one who had designed the funky bindis on Madonna, Katy Perry, Ashley Judd, and while the smile on my face kept getting bigger and they believed it was indeed me, I had to burst their bubble and say, not yet, but hopefully soon. That in fact is one of my dreams. I do hope that 1 million women across the world sport my designs, not just for the aesthetic reasons, but for the scientific ones as well. I never ever truly thought that one small little dot would make such a huge difference in my life. One of the worst periods that we went through was after we made our first film and it bombed and we lost everything that we had. And I remember locking myself up in our room. I didn't even, in fact, it chokes me even now when I think about it. I didn't step out of our room for days. I would mope around. Nobody could even talk to me because I didn't want to talk to anybody. And one fine day, a couple of days later, after this entire moping period was going on, I didn't have a choice, but we had to get ready to meet with the lawyers. And I pushed myself out of bed, forced myself out, went and had that shower rather reluctantly, stood in front of a mirror and drew that design on my forehead, and I cannot even begin to tell you how at that moment I felt transformed. Not just physically, but mentally as well. I felt absolutely charged from head to toe as I was applying the bindi on my forehead. Be it my tryst with cancer, or the extreme amounts of adenomyotic pain that I go through month after month after month to this day, I do believe it is my bindi, therefore my Ajna Chakra, that gives me the courage and the strength to carry on despite all the pain and despite all the odds. Thank you. I never really step out of home now. That one incident taught me so much. I never, ever, ever, ever step out of home without a design on my forehead. Sometimes it's an expression of what's going on inside my head, like in this picture where I've drawn the circle of life, or I've drawn the Mother Earth because I felt the urge to do it. I wear a bindi material of what I'm wearing, be it a sari or be it a funky nose pin, so I want to compete with the size of that one. Out on a date with the Chief Happiness Officer of McDonald's, Ronald McDonald's, there I am with him. On the beach, amidst flowers, wearing white, chatting up a little puppy. Out in the sea, and I've lifted designs straight out of my kurta onto my forehead. Matching my turquoise neck piece, and I had a turquoise bindi, I think, which is quite clear on that one. And whether I'm posing with birds, I have a little bit of this little puppy on my forehead, I'm sure. I think you all will see the resemblance here. And I do believe that there was a yantra there on the forehead. So whether it is on the beach that I am on, whether it's me in the rain, or whether it's me with a crutch, which is what happened last year, I am always seen with a bindi, never ever without one. It gives me a lot of joy when people walk up to me and say, please will you draw a bindi on my forehead as well? So I've happily done that to anybody who walks up to me. And this was a lady I didn't even know who walked up and said, please can you draw something on my forehead? And she wanted one on the side and not in the center. And with other people, with the group of women I'd met for the first time. This was in Washington, again with a group of women I'd met for the first time. And guess what? I draw bindis for men too. It isn't just women that it's restricted to. So, of course, we call men's bindis slightly differently. We call them tilak. We don't want to give them the girly twang of a bindi. This was on Kali Chaudas about 2 years ago, when a group of men, all my husband's friends, decided they wanted a bindi on the forehead. And that's someone from my office and somebody, a doctor that I met at a wedding. And some join in rather reluctantly, as you can see, the look here. I clearly seem to have, charged his Arjuna into shock mode. You couldn't get a reaction out of him. So when I set up my web portal, the Bindi web portal, techies, Indian techies online, on Twitter in fact, made a lot of fun of me. They said the meanest of things, and they said, who's going to fund this app? And they said, what next? A buy app? And all these techies in their little stints at Silicon Valley has totally forgotten the essence of being Indian. Kids, on the other hand, are absolutely open, and they love the idea of having bindis on their forehead. They walk up to me, ask me with interest, what is it, and if they can sport one too, as in the case of these little kids. And little boys as well, so those are bindis for little boys. Gives me great pleasure, in fact, to draw bindis for them. And here's a little kid who's clearly been inspired with what I sport on my own forehead. So she stuck a whole lot of her mother's 10 packets of stickers on her own forehead. Very sweet. And this is one of my favorite drawings of myself, done by two tiny little kids, Kamlakshi and Katyayani, who wanted to draw my face, and don't miss the fact that they have drawn me with my bindi on. Each one of us has it in us to find the extraordinary. Unfortunately, it is family, it is society, and the policing that they do that stop us from thinking big and thinking out of ordinary and therefore being extraordinary. In the process of me finding my extraordinary, I even discovered the power of my bindi and therefore towards my ajna. I'd like to end with this beautiful quote, that small dot on her forehead, just like the third eye of Sati, seeing it all yet kept closed and calm, elegant and graceful as she already was, the bindi made her a heavenly goddess. Who imagined what a change a dot could make? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I am waiting to draw a bindi on a lady volunteer, so I'm looking forward to, come on, come on. Come, sit, 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 sit. You'll have to get your glasses off. Okay, sit. No, you have to sit, darling. I won't be able to do it if you stand. I'm just going to put some powder on your forehead in case it's a little, okay? Thank you. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, Athira. I'm not done yet. I'm looking for a male volunteer now. You are looking so pretty. I wish you can see. Can you see yourself? Here, take a look. Here's the mirror. Take a look at yourself.
Wow.
So who is, oh my, come on, welcome. Come, come. I'm also going to put some powder on the forehead because, okay, these tend to otherwise not. Nice broad forehead. Fantastic for me to draw a big bindi on. His bindi is going to climb towards the sky today. Come. Ladies and gentlemen, Satyendra Kumar Sharma. That looked easy, didn't it? I'm waiting for all of you to send me pictures soon with designs on your foreheads. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
No wonder they call you a Bindi queen, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful talk.
Thank you. Thank you so
Where's
much.
my Bindi?
Sit.
I was just kidding. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
a token
so
of
much.
appreciation on behalf of
Thank
the
you
team.
so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And this is for you. Thank you.
Are there many doctors in the house? Can I have a show of hands? I want to come down. Can you have a mic? Can I have a show of hands? Okay. Now, if I talk to the relatives, they all will have one common thing to say. They don't spend enough time with family. They are hardly there. Thank you. They are known to have super busy schedules. They hardly get time, and they're so socially handicapped. I'll prove it to you. They're so socially handicapped that if I ask them which is the latest English movie running in the cinemas, they wouldn't know. But the latest drug in the market, in the respective field of medicine, they would definitely know, which is way more difficult to pronounce. Shall we do an experiment? Whom should I pick on? I'm scared of my professors. I don't want to pick on any of them. Sir. Sir, do you know the latest English movie running in the cinemas? I won.
Hindi movie, yes, but not English.
Okay, sir.
I'm a Hindi movie fan.
Okay.
Yeah. So many of them are running. I even forget the ones which I see. The recent one, Gold. I saw Gold.
Okay. Quite surprising. Thank you, sir. So as I mentioned, they have super busy schedules. Now, if I ask them, do you have time to follow your passion amidst all this? It's out of question. It's a daunting task. Agreed? Our next speaker is a perfectionist when it comes to balancing passion with profession. By now, you would have guessed. He's a doctor, and he's a professor from the Department of Community Medicine at St. John's Medical College, Bangalore. His passion, drama and theatre. Here's a glimpse.
Stay up there if it's so dangerous. We stay because Anatevka is our home. And how do we keep our balance? That I can tell you in a word. Tradition.
Now, doctors from community medicine work deep within the community to enhance overall health so that the community does not fall in the grasp of diseases. And as I mentioned, his passion is drama and theatre. He tries to raise funds for the socially backward communities by being part of the annual musical production of the Cause Foundation. This gentleman literally lives his life for a cause. A humble man in a noble profession, with knowledge and skill to save lives, with a heart that feels for the ailing and sick. A gifted artist who considers art not a profession, but a passion. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Arvind Kasturi.
Overheard at a dinner party recently. So, you're a doctor? Yes, ma'am. Tell me something interesting about your patients. Ma'am, I had a student once who presented a 70-year-old with diabetes. Did you say student? Do you teach? Yes, ma'am. Actually, at a medical college, we teach. Oh, so you must be interacting with your students a lot. Yes, ma'am. Actually, this particular chap, I know very well because he played the keyboards for our recent production of Fiddler on the Roof. What? I think I better start at the beginning. A few years back, as I was driving home from work one evening, it struck me that there are 3 questions which are central to professional life as I saw it. The 3 questions were: 1, what are you good at doing? 2, what do you want to do? And 3, what are you doing? The next day to this epiphanic moment of discovery of the 3 central questions happened to be a Sunday. And we had a carpenter at our place commissioned to do a piece of work. As I watched him work, a block of wood was gradually transformed into a sturdy table with elegant rounded edges, a firm feel, and a perfectly polished surface. I felt that I was in the presence of a master. The 3 questions, when applied to him, seemed to fit perfectly. What was he good at doing? Obviously, carpentry. What did he want to do? Seemingly, carpentry. What was he doing? Carpentry. This man was among those chosen few for whom all the 3 questions had a single answer. It is possible to have disparate answers to the questions. For example, a man good at using a computer may want to be a doctor and end up heading a design company, and many others perhaps. So there I was, fixed on the seemingly neat matrix, busy slotting people on how many of their answers merged on a scale of 3. Till one evening, my wife and I went to a concert and watched a musician perform. He sang a lovely set of songs, sending us into raptures as he softly strummed his guitar. We met with him after the concert, and as I congratulated him, I slipped in my 3 questions. I said, "So, you're so good at doing this. I'm sure you wanted to be a musician all your life. Is this what you do for a living?" To my surprise, he said, "No. I'm a software engineer. I work with a group that has 5 patents to its name." And he went on to describe how he loved that job. And as he spoke, it became clear to me that it wasn't so simple after all. There was a 4th question. What are you good at doing? What do you want to do? What are you doing? And what else are you doing? Armed with this realization, I began looking around. And I saw so many people who were good at what they basically did for a living, but who were also doing something else. And in many cases, a significant something else. I saw a plastic surgeon who's a great artist and whose works have been exhibited on many occasions. As with the musician, I was struck with the beauty of his work, even as I was struck by the fact that he was a renowned and excellent plastic surgeon as well. I regularly meet an ENT surgeon who's a stand-up comic and a medical inventor, and apparently excels at all that he pursues. And there's the architect who's a gifted percussionist, the busy program manager and IT executive by day who transform into exquisite choreographers and dancers by evening, the physiatrist who dances Bharatanatyam. I could go on. All these people pass the 3-question test with flying colors. They're good at what they do for a living. They want to do it, and they're doing it. But they're also doing something else. Something beautiful, something fulfilling, something which seems to make a difference to their lives. So I took a step back and looked at my own life and experience. As a medical student in this very town, I was subject to the same pushes and pulls of academic rigor as any student of my time. But then along came an opportunity to join what was then called the Mangalore Amateur Dramatic Society, or MADS for short. And thus began what was to become a long affair with the stage. We had an inspiring director who drilled it into us that it wasn't enough to love the grease paint and the footlights. You had to reach out and touch the paying public seated there in front of you. On one occasion, I remember him saying, and I quote, "Unless the deaf old lady in the last row understands you, don't even bother showing up." Unquote. Mads was a lovely experience. 3 full-length plays and a few small productions happened in those wonder years. Side by side, my years of studentship went on. I completed my graduation in medicine and was unleashed into the real world of healthcare and patient interaction. Did my experience with theater help me in my vocation? I think it did, but more about that in a bit. The years moved on. It was 1997, and I happened to meet with a friend, again from Mangalore. And she told me that she started an organization which promotes musical and theatrical talent while raising funds for charity. This seemed to me to be an excellent idea, and I enthusiastically joined her with my wife, my pillar of support to this day. And thus began my acquaintance with the Cause Foundation, an organization with whom I was to be associated over the next 20 years and counting. Our formula was simple. Our director would buy the copyright for a musical and get the group together sometime in June. We would rehearse long and hard thereafter, late into the evenings. And every year, at the end of August or the beginning of September, a beautiful Broadway musical was born. There is a saying which goes, "Be careful with your dreams, they so often come true." As a fresh-faced young lad, growing up watching the likes of Christopher Plummer in The Sound of Music, Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady, and Topol playing the village milkman and Fiddler on the Roof, little did I even dream that I would one day get the opportunity to actually play Captain Von Trapp, or Professor Higgins, or the absolutely delightful Tevier. But that's exactly what happened. Thanks to this great organization, the wonderful lady who leads it, and to that gifted group of people who sing, act, dance, organize, and perform while doing something totally different for a living. My own pursuit of a livelihood, meanwhile, went on. I had decided on a career in community medicine to see if we could make a difference by working at the roots of health problems and by reaching out to populations which lacked access. Over the years, I became interested in the health of the elderly. And today, I work with a team which runs a senior citizen health service in rural and urban areas around the city of Bangalore. Now I ask myself, has my experience with doing something else helped me in my profession? To my mind, theater is the science of expression elevated to an art form. It brings in elements of communication, of reaching out to people, understanding them, and working together in teams to create something that is greater than the sum of its individual parts. And when I look back at my chosen profession, I find that the practice of medicine and public health calls for all that and more. For instance, when working with our elderly patients, I seem to hear the voice of my director as he says, "If the old lady with a hearing problem doesn't understand you, don't even bother showing up." The practice of community medicine calls for a lot of communication with individuals and groups of people. It calls for teamwork, for example, to organize an outreach rural geriatric clinic, just like the teamwork required to stage Young Frankenstein, or Hello Dolly, or Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And there's the little bits and pieces of philosophy and profound thought that are hidden like little gems in each of these productions. For instance, in the classic My Fair Lady, Eliza Doolittle is a common flower girl who yearns to be a lady and subjects herself to the brutal training techniques of Professor Higgins,
cushioned to an extent by the professor's kind friend, Colonel Pickering. Towards the end of the play, Eliza is heard saying, and I quote, "The difference between a flower girl and a lady is not in the way she behaves, but in the way she's treated. I will always be a flower girl to Professor Higgins because he treats me like a flower girl and always will. But I will always be a lady to Colonel Pickering because he treats me like a lady and always will." Belonging as I do in the real world to an organization with a hierarchy ranging from a director to a ward boy, I think there is something I can learn from that sentiment. Another favorite is from our 2008 production of All Shook Up, a musical drama based on the songs of Elvis Presley. My character is an elderly widower who develops a gigantic crush on a young lady in town, but finds himself completely tongue-tied in her presence. So he turns for advice to a young man in town, and the youngster tells him to remove his glasses, ruffle his hair, but, he says, above all else, you know what you got to be? "No idea," says the elderly man. "Cool," says the youngster. This might sound intuitive to my younger friends seated here, but I can think of countless instances of harried residents of mine grappling with 14 issues on a Monday morning concerning their patients, their colleagues, and their seniors. And I find myself desperately wanting to reach out to them and say, "You know what you got to be? Cool." So, as I stand here before you, even as I stand before groups of patients, of colleagues, of students, trying to reach out to them, trying to look into their eyes and to make a difference, believe me when I say that I'm truly beholden to that other thing in my life, which has taught me so much and made me who I am today. As it happens, I'm not alone in advocating the pursuit of that other thing. Research shows that a hobby or a creative pursuit can help in many ways. It boosts self-confidence. It improves synaptic connections in the brain. It raises quality of life. And most importantly, it's a determinant of what we call successful aging. So you can choose to read, to dance, to paint, act, sing, perform, do any of the million things there are to do apart from your job or vocation. And even as you do that other thing, be assured that it will help you do your core job better and make you happier. It will also help you in the years to come, which at my stage, or indeed any stage in life, are the years that matter. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we live our lives doing what we do, and as we reach the end of our lives on this beautiful planet, I foresee a scene at the pearly gates of heaven where we wait for admittance. The man over there will ask us all about our lives, who we were and what we did. And as you give him an account of your life, your family, and your work, be prepared for him to ask you, "So tell me, what was that other thing you did?" Thank you.
Powerful. As a medico, I got goosebumps. I was like, what have I done for 23 years of my life? I need to look at something. What's the other thing that I can do? You're really inspired. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
On behalf of TEDx NitteDU, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we have a group of 3 boys. They had a dream of making it big. And the one thing they had in common was a love for dance. So they went and auditioned for a dance reality show. And from then on, they were unstoppable. They became a national sensation with their exciting moves, unique style, power-packed performance. They were one of the top 12 in Dance Plus 3. And when this event is happening in Mangalore, it would be so incomplete if you do not add some local flavor or essence to it. Agree with me? Yes. And the group that I was talking about is from our backyard. They are from Mangalore. They'll make you move your feet to the beats of Namakudla. Please welcome Lionel Sequeira, Nicky Pinto, and Gavin Rodriguez, the team of Nostalgia.
ढाई शाम रोक लई ढाई शाम रोक लई और चक मुख चूम लई सग से मोरी चुनरी गई सग से मोरी चुनरी गई सरक 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 सरक
सोनिया मारिया मेरे सजना टोल सिपाहिया आवेगा जब सोनिया मारिया मेरे सजना टोल सिपाहिया रख लांगी तन सीने लाके तेरे बाजों चिल कमराइया चन्ना में घरे भोला में घरे चन्ना में घरे आ जावे भोला में घरे आ जावे चन्ना में घरे आ जावे भोला में घरे आ जावे with the best music. Another DJ Khaled.
Don't look rich, I ain't got no chain. Not on the list, I ain't got no name. But we in it, bitch, I'm not no lame. And I keep it Ben Franklin, I'm not gonna change. A lot of these old messy. I just want you and your bestie. I don't got that answer, but whenever you text me, it's multiple choices, you don't wanna test me. Choosing the squad. She tryna choose between me, just a Quay and a sword. She told me that she loved it, I make music for God. I told her I would let her see that blood. के मन बहके तेरे के करके खुद को मेरे दिल की बात जाने कायनात तेरे दिल की खबर बस मुझको तेरे दिल के मन बहके तेरे के करके खुद को मेरे दिल की बात जाने कायनात तेरे दिल की खबर बस मुझको आना बातें प्यार की आना
Hamper. Don't come.
Thank you for that power-packed performance. It was awesome. Please give them a big round of applause. Here's a token of appreciation on behalf of NitteDU.
Thank you.
Tired sitting for long? You want to stretch a bit? I can get a smell of coffee. It's time for high tea, for the final halt before we begin with the last leg of the journey. I'll meet you back sharp at 15:45 hours. It's a very short halt. Please go enjoy your high tea. Come back refreshed. Thank you. Small announcement. Gavin from Nostalgia has misplaced his bag. It's a TEDx NitteDU bag, and he has his wallet and clothes in it. If anyone has it, by mistake, please return it back to the mic counter. May you please check your bags? Welcome back on board. We're about to begin with the last leg of our journey. Request everyone to quickly take your seats. Volunteers, crew members, please take your seats. Please ensure your electronic devices are switched off. All right, we'll begin. We are beginning this leg of the journey with a performance. A performance which will leave you startled. These performers are so agile that they defy human strength and gravity. Years of practice and rigorous training have given them the strength of a tiger, the balance of a ninja, and the grandeur of a lion. They have been winning hearts since 2003 with a single poll. They were the finalists of India's Got Talent and has made the nation proud by representing India at various platforms across the world. They're taking gymnastics to a different world, literally. Have a look. Are you?
Presenting finalist, Incredible Malcolm.
Wow, I love that. Fantastic. Outstanding, Malcolm. Thank you, man.
क्या करें क्या कहें, जैसा नाम वैसा हुनर, वाकई इनक्रेडिबल मालकम गोल्ड फ्रीज के हकदार हैं। इनक्रेडिबल मालकम। सिर्फ सुपर हीरोज करते हैं, आप ये सुपर पास नहीं, लेकिन सिर्फ हुनर का पावर है, जोश और जुनून का पावर है।
You saw it. Please ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You might just literally jump looking at them perform. They hang like the roots of a banyan tree. They climb like leopards and they jump like cats. Please put your hands together for the incredible Mallakhammas.
बेजुबां कब से मैं रहा बेगुनाह सहता मैं रहा बेजुबां कब से मैं रहा बेगुनाह सहता मैं रहा जान लेके किस्मत पे काटे हैं राहों में काटे हैं किस्मत पे काटे हैं राहों में काटे हैं सौ सवाल है सौ हैरानते तेरे तो नाम पे लगी है काली घे बेजुबां कब से मैं रहा बेगुनाह सहता मैं रहा बेजुबां कब से मैं रहा बेगुनाह सहता मैं रहा
what was happening? I'm not going to come near you. I feel inferior. My goodness. Oh my God. I think many of the doctors would be like, okay, I'm going to come in action now. You guys were amazing. When I was told that you had the balance of a ninja and all, I was like, okay, verbally yes, but too good. Please give them a big round of applause. And this is not a complete squad. There's one more person missing. Can I have the master, Anoop? This is Anoop. This is Omkar, Tanaji, and Deepak. Amazing. Thank you so much for coming to TEDx NitteDU. This is a token of appreciation on behalf of TEDx NitteDU. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. Life in many ways is a balancing act, constantly juggling between work, health, family, interpersonal relationships. And in this competitive world, we have a bid to make every single mission or goal of ours a success. So what do? We tend to overanalyze and overthink every thought. And that can make us lose our mindfulness. Next, we have a video of mindfulness expert Andy Padukombe. He says that all that you need to do in a day for being mindful is doing nothing for 10 minutes. Now, it might seem very simple, doing nothing for 10 minutes, but try it out. 10 minutes, make your mind free of all thoughts. Not even a single thought should come into your mind. It's difficult. Because 6 months back when I was sitting in the lecture classes, I tried hard listening to lectures. It just wanders off. And even if I try to concentrate, it doesn't work so easily. So it takes a lot of dedication and commitment to keep your mind clear of thoughts and to live in the present. That's what we forget to do nowadays. We think about the future and forget to live in the present. Please watch this video of Andy Padukombe. 10 minutes of doing nothing is a key to mindfulness.
We live in an incredibly busy world. The pace of life is often frantic, our minds are always busy, and we're always doing something. So with that in mind, I'd like you just to take a moment to think, when did you last take any time to do nothing? Just 10 minutes, undisturbed. And when I say nothing, I do mean nothing. So that's no emailing, texting, no internet, no TV, no chatting, no eating, no reading. Not even sitting there reminiscing about the past or planning for the future. Simply doing nothing. I see a lot of very blank faces. My thinking is probably have to go a long way back. And this is an extraordinary thing, right? We're talking about our mind. The mind, our most valuable and precious resource through which we experience every single moment of our life. The mind that we rely upon to be happy, content, emotionally stable as individuals, and at the same time to be kind and thoughtful and considerate in our relationships with others. This is the same mind that we depend upon to be focused, creative, spontaneous, and to perform at our very best in everything that we do. And yet, we don't take any time out to look after it. In fact, we spend more time looking after our cars, our clothes, and our hair than we... Okay, maybe not our hair, but you see where I'm going. The result, of course, is that we get stressed. You know, the mind whizzes away like a washing machine going round and round, lots of difficult, confusing emotions. And we don't really kind of know how to deal with that. And the sad fact is that we are so distracted that we're no longer present in the world in which we live. We miss out on the things that are most important to us. And the crazy thing is that everybody just assumes, well, that's the way life is, so we just kind of got to get on with it. But that's really not how it has to be. So I was about 11 when I went along to my first meditation class. And trust me, it had all the stereotypes that you can imagine, sitting cross-legged on the floor, the incense, the herbal tea, the vegetarians, the whole deal. But my mum was going and I was intrigued, so I went along with her. I'd also seen a few kung fu movies, and secretly I kind of thought I might be able to learn how to fly, but I was very young at the time, you know. Now, as I was there, you know, I guess like a lot of people, I assumed that it was just an aspirin for the mind. You get stressed, you do some meditation. I hadn't really thought that it could be sort of preventative in nature. Until I was about sort of 20, when a number of things happened in my life in quite quick succession. Really serious things which just flipped my life upside down, and all of a sudden I was inundated with thoughts, inundated with difficult emotions that I didn't know how to cope with. Every time I sort of pushed one down, another one would just sort of pop back up again. It was a really very stressful time. I guess we all deal with stress in different ways. Some people will bury themselves in work, grateful for the distraction. Others will turn to their friends, their family, looking for support. Some people hit the bottle, start taking medication. My own way of dealing with it was to become a monk. So I quit my degree, I headed off to the Himalayas, I became a monk, and I started studying meditation. People often ask me, you know, what I learned from that time. Well, obviously it changed things, you know. Let's face it, becoming a celibate monk is going to change a number of things. But it was more than that. You know, it taught me, it gave me a greater appreciation and understanding for the present moment. By that I mean not being lost in thought, not being distracted, not being overwhelmed by difficult emotions, but instead learning how to be in the here and now, how to be mindful, how to be present. I think the present moment is so underrated. It sounds so ordinary, and yet we spend so little time in the present moment that it's anything but ordinary. There was a research paper that came out of Harvard just recently that said on average our minds are lost in thought almost 47% of the time. 47%. At the same time, this sort of constant mind wandering is also a direct cause of unhappiness. Now, we're not here for that long anyway, but to spend almost half of our life lost in thought and potentially quite unhappy, I don't know, it's just, it kind of seems tragic actually, especially when there's something we can do about it. When there's a positive, practical, achievable, scientifically proven technique which allows our mind to be more healthy, to be more mindful and less distracted. And the beauty of it is that even though it kind of need only take about 10 minutes a day, it impacts our entire life. But we need to know how to do it. We need an exercise, we need a framework to learn how to be more mindful. That's essentially what meditation is. It's familiarizing ourselves with the present moment. But we also need to know how to approach it in the right way to get the best from it. And that's what these are for, in case you've been wondering. Because most people assume that meditation is all about sort of stopping thoughts, getting rid of emotions, somehow controlling the mind. But actually it's quite different from that. It's more about sort of stepping back, sort of seeing the thought clearly, witnessing it coming and going, emotions coming and going without judgment, but with a relaxed, focused mind. So for example, right now, if I focus too much on the balls, then there's no way that I can relax and talk to you at the same time. Equally, if I relax too much talking to you, then there's no way I can focus on the balls. I'm going to drop them. Now in life and in meditation, there'll be times when the focus becomes a little bit too intense and life starts to feel a bit like this. It's a very uncomfortable way to live life when we get this tight and stressed. At other times we might take our foot off the gas a little bit too much and things just become a sort of bit like this. And of course in meditation we can end up falling asleep. So we're looking for a balance of focused relaxation where we can allow thoughts to come and go without all the usual involvement. Now, what usually happens when we're learning to be mindful is that we get distracted by a thought. Let's say this is an anxious thought. So everything's going fine and then we see the anxious thought and it's like, ooh, I didn't realize I was worried about that. You go back to it, repeat it. Oh, I am worried. Oh, I really am worried. Wow, there's so much anxiety. And before we know it, right, we're anxious about feeling anxious. You know, this is crazy. We do this all the time, even on an everyday kind of level. If you think about the last time, I don't know, you had a wobbly tooth. You know it's wobbly, and you know that it hurts. But what do you do every 20, 30 seconds? I don't know. It does hurt. And we reinforce the storyline, right? And we just keep telling ourselves. And we do it all the time. And it's only in learning to watch the mind in this way that we can start to let go of those storylines and patterns of mind. But when you sit down and you watch the mind in this way, you might see many different patterns. You might find a mind that's really sort of restless and the whole time, you know, don't be surprised if you feel a bit agitated in your body when you sit down to do nothing and your mind feels like that. You might find a mind that's very sort of dull and boring, and it's just almost mechanical. It just sort of seems to, it's as if you're just sort of getting up, going to work, eat, sleep, get up. Or it might just be that one little nagging thought that just goes round and round and round your mind. Whatever it is, meditation offers the opportunity, the potential to step back and to get a different perspective, to see that things aren't always as they appear. You know, we can't change every little thing that happens to us in life, but we can change the way that we experience it. That's the potential of meditation, of mindfulness. You don't have to burn any incense, and you definitely don't have to sit on the floor. All you need to do is to take 10 minutes out a day to step back, to familiarize yourself with the present moment so that you get to experience a greater sense of focus, calm, and clarity in your life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What comes to your mind when you see a pack of cigarettes? Sorry? Smoking is injurious to health. Okay, agreed. So some might feel like smoking. Others might think of the statutory warning of Rahul Dravid in the cinemas. And others, as you mentioned, smoking is injurious to health. So what's common is all these things link smoking to a negative aspect, which is absolutely true. I agree with it. But that's quite ordinary thinking. Extraordinary is what two men did. They realized humans learn bad habits quite easily and find it difficult to come out of it. So they came up with a brilliant idea to make smoking less harmful to the environment. They started making beanbags, cushions, pillows, and manure out of cigarette butts. Now that's what you call a brilliant idea which surfaces when you let your imagination run wild. And that's exactly what Albert Einstein said. True sign of intelligence is knowledge, not knowledge, but imagination. And we are very fortunate enough to have one of those two gentlemen with us here today. If Rahul Dravid stands like a wall and drives the ball to cover against smoking, this man is like Yuvraj Singh. He sweeps the ball over the boundary against smoking. Please welcome the one and only Naman Gupta from Code Enterprises.
Hello everyone, I am Naman Gupta from Code Enterprises, and I'll take you through a journey of the cigarette waste, and I'll show you through a picture, a group of pictures, that how we are helping the nation in benefiting environmentally as well as generating employment. We started in 2016 with a basic idea that what is cigarette butt. Like, we considered it as cotton, so 90% just like us, we had a bunch of friends who used to have a paying guest because we were in our 20s, we were in our college life. So out of 10 odd friends, 50-60% of the friends used to smoke. So after smoking, they used to throw away all the cigarette butt that was generated, and there was no complete disposal of the waste. So with the basic idea that what is happening of the waste, we started researching of what the polymer is made up of, what is the cigarette bud containing. So we came across that this is completely plastic in nature, and it doesn't degrade within 10 to 12 years, and it can contaminate more than 1 liter of water. Even a single bud can contaminate more than 1 liter of water. In India, there are no specific guidelines regarding cigarette waste, unlike other countries, because there is no specific disposal bins or anything regarding cigarette waste. So with the basic idea, we started the code initiative, and we started approaching rag pickers, scrap dealers, and various other unemployed local people in 3 cities, Noida, Delhi, and Gurgaon as our base. So 90% of the people laughed at us that what are you doing and what will you do with this kind of waste? It is so bad, and you are promoting smoking. So we told them that we are not promoting smoking, because whatever the quantity that you will be giving and whatever the efforts that you will be putting in, we will provide you with a basic incentive for the quantity. So some of the people who got aware of the cigarette waste, they started supplying us with the quantity. So because of them, we made a good base of the cigarette waste. Besides the scrap dealers and the rag pickers, we started giving value bins, V-bins, to individual smokers who are smoking at their home, or cigarette vendors who are selling cigarette on the roadsides, and various commercial office buildings who were having specific smoking rooms for the users to smoke there for their convenience. So today we have installed more than 10,000 to 15,000 V-bins across India, and these are some of the designs that we use for V-bins. These are completely stainless steel receptacles, and these are not very fancy, but these solve the basic purpose of the efficient disposal of cigarette waste. So besides that, the bin that we gave was not solving the main purpose of the collection or the supply model, because the general public used to use the bin as a normal trash can. So they used to throw away all the wrappers, all the matchstick, bottle caps, everything. So we used to end up with all kind of waste. So we were completely confused that how can we collect the waste and when will we start recycling it. So we hired a lot of women, we had unemployed women in our local areas. So we gave them an incentive-based rate so that they could supply us with the separated quantity. We used to give the normal waste to them, and after separation they used to supply us it into 2 bags. One was for the polymer, the cotton material that is inside, and the other bag used to have the paper and the tobacco. So today we have approximately covered 10 to 12 states in which we are operating in more than 200 districts. These associations are made on contract. If a volunteer is willing to work with us, or there's an NGO, or if there's a person who wants to invest on himself rather than doing some other work, so they can collaborate with us and they can supply us the quantity on a large scale and generate monetary income also. We provide a basic rate of 200 to 50 rupees per kg for the cigarette waste. So on contract, these people are providing a very good income for the people who are working under them, and these people are also benefiting the environment, because the waste would end up as general litter otherwise. This is the flow chart that we have, the treatment process. The main USP of our business is the recycling process, because in all over the nation, apart from us, there is no other organization that is recycling such kind of waste. So the polymer and the leftover tobacco is recycled using biodegradable chemical compositions. These chemicals are completely fit to use and available in the market, but we don't outsource the chemicals to maintain the USP. So after the recycling is done, the wastewater that is generated from the recycling of the cigarette polymer and the paper, the wastewater is also recycled so that we can ensure that we don't have any carbon footprints, and we are ensuring that we run a zero waste propaganda. These are some of the images, like this is the form that the polymer looks like, and the leftover tobacco is converted into manure. So this polymer is used in multiple byproducts like keychains, cushions, mattresses, bean bags. We have a lovely concept of making air purification filters. I'll show you the images also. And besides that, the polymer, the tobacco and the paper is converted into organic manure. This manure is usable for wet soils because it has a higher carbon content and can be used as a very good pesticide. So these are some of the byproducts like cushions and keychains and mattresses. So these are completely customizable. You can purchase the same byproducts from anywhere in the market. Like we have online stores, offline stores for marketing these byproducts. And these are like durable, completely fit to use as per the ISO certifications. Because some people ask that if it is used by, it is made out of recycled cigarette butt, does it have any smell or something? So we can assure them that it is completely recycled and it is completely fit to use. Within this coming 2 years, like by 2020, we are planning to launch a bunch of byproducts like soft toys and mosquito repellents from the leftover tobacco and the paper. Because of the higher carbon content of the tobacco, the mosquito repellents can help in curbing mosquito problems in our cities and various areas. Soft toys will be completely similar to cushions and mattresses. Besides that, because the cigarette bud has a lot of absorbing compositions, like it can absorb a huge amount of chemicals. Before smoking, it is completely white, but after smoking it turns yellow or brownish. So it absorbs a lot of highly effective chemicals. So we are planning to launch an air purifier which can be completely used for industrial chimneys and ventilation systems, wherein there will be no electricity involved, just the membrane that is being made out of the cellulose acetate that will be required for changing within the time period that is like proposed by the product. The main reason why we are here is the team that we have, because the team that we have is completely correlated. Our team is completely dependent on each other. If one person stops working with us, our complete system stands still. So this is the complete management team is completely involved with the unskilled team also, so that we can maintain transparency within the model and we can encourage more and more people to join with us. The benefits of our organization are like very high, because apart from us, there is no other organization who is recycling cigarette waste. So, and the waste is so harmful that it will take 10 to 12 years to decompose, and it can contaminate a lot of water bodies. So it is solving an environmental purpose of reducing soil pollution and water pollution. Besides that, it is our Code Enterprises is providing social benefit to the users who are unable to dispose their waste wisely. So we provide them with a value bin so that they can dispose their cigarette waste wisely, and we can recycle it into the various byproducts in the most efficient manner. Apart from the social and the environmental aspects, we have generated employment to more than 4,000, 5,000 unemployed people, job seekers, volunteers who are like willing to work towards the cause, and we have provided them with a basic income so that they can sustain and survive with their livelihood. Basically, lastly, I would like to say that whatever you want to do in your life, it's your life, you can do whatever you want, but you need to have a specific determination and you must focus on whatever you want, because if you are in your 20s or 30s, you must be investing over your studies, your courses, but if you try to focus on your own self and if you prove yourself that I can do something for the environment and I can bring about a change, so the people will also definitely help you towards the cause, and you will definitely flourish in the future time. Thank you.
That was an interesting business idea. Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you,
As a
sir.
token of appreciation on behalf of NitteDU. Thank you. I'm an automobile enthusiast, and when I see new cars and bikes in glossy polish and paint, it's a delight for my eye. And that element that brings that luster is mica. Though the elements add finish to the product, the process of mining it isn't as glossy as the final product. And surprisingly, more than half of the laborers working in India's mines, mica mines, are children. They risk mine collapse, fatal lung diseases, and heat stroke. They don't go to school, but work long hours in mica mines. Cuts, injuries, scratches, all these things are day-to-day affair for them. But among them rose Muhammad Manan Ansari. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, he donned the weapon of education, soared high above social stigma, broke all stereotypes, and he fought against this. From mines to microscopes, his journey has been truly an inspiring one. Next, we have the man who made his journey from mines to microscopes, representing those million children still working in those mica mines, Muhammad Manan Ansari. Please give him a big round of applause.
So, before I start my talk, I would like to share a poem with you all. कुछ खाली रखी कुर्सियों ने एक बात कही है मजहब से, जिन्हें बैठना था यहाँ पर वो किस्मत ढूंढते हैं गलियों में। कुछ खुले पड़े मैदानों से एक शोर उठा है बचपन का, जिन्हें दौड़ना था खुश होकर वो गुमसुम हो रहे अपने सपनों से। कुछ खुले पड़े दरवाजों से आंखें झांकती है, कुछ खुले पड़े दरवाजों से आंखें झांकती है, जिन्हें आसमां तक जाना था वो कैद हुए हैं पिंजरों में। कुछ सुनी है ख्याल रागों में उम्मीदें जागती हैं हर पहर, जिन्हें लौटना था पल भर में गुम हो गए वो शहरों में, गुम हो गए वो शहरों में, गुम हो गए वो शहरों में। Namaste everyone. This poem mirrors the plight of millions of my brothers and sisters in our just and civilized world. But the numbers related to the cases of their plight are more alarming and heartbreaking. Let me tell you that on this day, 263 million children are not going to school. Many of them, they wake up to a day of hard labor in fields, factories with unimaginable living conditions. 152 million children are victims of child labor, many of them as young as 5 years. 75 million children are in crisis and in conflict situations, with the threat of exploitations hanging over their head. Today, I am here to voice what I have suffered and what millions of Manan Ansari are suffering as we talk now. Do you know what a privilege it is to be able to dream? Do you know what a privilege it is to live a life that we call a normal life? This is our unfortune that our children are still working. Today, while we sit here contemplating our choices for lunch, dinners, but unfortunately, a child labor might be thinking that this would be the another day of his life when he will go to sleep with an empty stomach. You will find them everywhere if you are willing enough to look for them. If you only do not turn a blind eye, you cannot imagine how their childhood is being taken away from them. Now think of an 8-year-old boy who is serving another 12-year-old boy who has come along with his family for the meal in the dhaba. Is it not heart-shaking? मैं झारखंड के कोडरमा जिले का एक छोटे से गांव का रहने वाला हूं। आप लोगों को शायद पता नहीं होगा कि कोडरमा उत्तम क्वालिटी के माइका का सबसे बड़े प्रोड्यूसर्स में से एक है। हमारे गांव के सभी लोग माइका माइंस में जाते हैं काम करने, माइका कलेक्ट करते हैं और उसी से अपना गुजर बसर करते हैं। मेरे परिवार में हम 5 भाई हैं और 3 बहनें हैं। मेरे पापा माइंस में काम करते हैं और मम्मी घर संभालती है। मेरा गांव जंगलों के बीच में बसा हुआ है, जो कि शहरों से काफ़ी अलग थलग है। आप लोग सोच नहीं सकते कि जब मैं मात्र 6 साल का था, तब हमारे गांव में ना तो बिजली थी, ना तो अस्पताल और ना ही ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की कोई अच्छी व्यवस्था। मात्र एक स्कूल था, जो कि सिर्फ प्राइमरी तक। इससे गांव के लोगों में एजुकेशन को लेकर के कोई अवेयरनेस नहीं थी। गांव के सभी लोग, छोटे बड़े, सभी माइका चुनने जाते थे माइंस में। जिस उम्र में एक बच्चे को सपने देखने का मौका मिलता है, उसे अपने बचपन जीने का सुख मिलता है, उस उम्र में मैं माइंस में काम करता था। उस उम्र में मैं माइंस में काम करता था। That was one of the bad phase of my life. और सबसे बड़ी बात कि मेरा कोई सपना नहीं था। Yes, I had no dreams at all. मैं अपने भविष्य को लेकर के होपलेस था। मैं माइका माइंस में 2 साल तक काम करता रहा, जहां हमेशा मौत मेरे सर पर मंडराती थी। माइका माइंस में अगर कोई माइका कलेक्ट करने के लिए जाता है, उसको 200 से 300 फीट अंदर जाना पड़ेगा काम करने के लिए। ये एक लंबी सुरंग की तरह होती है, जिसमें एक समय एक ही बच्चा जा सकता है काम करने के लिए, और इसे लोहे के छोटे छोटे टुकड़ों से खोद करके बनाया जाता है। गर्मियों में वहां का तापमान 40 डिग्री सेल्सियस से भी ज़्यादा होता है। आज हम सब यहाँ पर एयर कंडीशनर रूम में बैठे हुए हैं, लेकिन इसी समय जो बच्चा माइंस में काम कर रहा होगा, यही गर्मी उसके बचपन को झुलसा रही होगी। माइंस बहुत डाउन होता है, 200 से 300 फीट नीचे, और ऊपर से मिट्टी गिरने के चांसेस बहुत ही ज़्यादा होती हैं। मैं आप लोगों को एक घटना सुनाना चाहूँगा। मेरा एक दोस्त था, वो एक दिन माइंस में काम करने के लिए गया। वो ऊपर आ ही रहा था माइका कलेक्ट करके कि ऊपर से मिट्टी गिर गई, और मेरा दोस्त हमेशा के लिए मुझसे दूर चला गया। He did not make alive that day. Whenever I remember this situation, it gives me goosebumps. I often try to forget this incident, but I'm still struggling. माइका माइंस में काम करते वक्त माइका बहुत ही नुकीला होता है, जिससे कई बार मेरे हाथ में कट जाते थे और खून निकलता था। मैं बहुत ही भाग्यशाली हूं कि मुझे वहां से रेस्क्यू कराया गया, और इस मुकाम तक पहुंचाने वाला कोई और नहीं, बचपन बचाओ आंदोलन है। बचपन बचाओ आंदोलन इज ए मूवमेंट। थैंक यू। बचपन बचाओ आंदोलन इज ए मूवमेंट founded by Nobel Peace Laureate Sri Kailash Satyarthi ji. We all address him as Bhai Sahab ji. This movement is working for the children, for the causes of education, and this movement is working since 1980 to eradicate child labor, child trafficking, and ensuring education for all. It was almost 2 years since I was working in mines. But one fine day, BBA activists came to my village. They spoke to villagers and convinced them to send us to school rather than sending us for work. With the hope of our bright future and quite confident for our education, we were sent to school. That was one of the happiest moment of my life. That was one of the happiest moment of my life. I cannot forget that day for the rest of my life. लेकिन मेरे मम्मी पापा बहुत ही गरीब थे, घर की सिचुएशन मेरी अच्छी नहीं थी और गांव में आगे स्कूल भी नहीं था पढ़ने के लिए, इसलिए मुझे और मेरे अन्य साथियों को बालाश्रम भेजा गया पढ़ने के लिए चाइल्ड वेलफेयर कमेटी के द्वारा। बालाश्रम is a long-term rehabilitation center for the children in need of care and protection, which was founded by Srimati Sumedha Kailas ji. We all address her as भाभी जी। वो मेरे और मेरे जैसे और सारे दुनिया के बच्चों के लिए वो माँ जैसी है, क्योंकि वो एक माँ की तरह प्यार करती है। बालाश्रम is surrounded by beautiful hills of Aravali in विराटनगर जयपुर। बालाश्रम में बच्चों को सेल्फ रिलायंट बनाने के लिए उनको पढ़ाई के साथ साथ में वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग भी दी जाती है। We have lots of extracurricular activities where children take part in. They sing, they dance, they paint, they act, and they do everything. जो शुरुआत में बच्चे डरे सहमे हुए आए होते हैं, वो बहुत ही जल्दी एक नया रिश्ता कायम कर लेते हैं, अपनी एक नई दुनिया बसा लेते हैं। A world which is just and fair for them. आश्रम में जो भी बच्चे आते हैं शुरुआत में, उनको अपना बर्थडे पता नहीं होता है, तो जिस दिन वो आश्रम में आते हैं हम उसी दिन से उसका बर्थडे मनाते हैं, क्योंकि उस दिन से उसके ज़िंदगी की नई शुरुआत होती है। थैंक यू। मैंने अपने लाइफ का पहला बर्थडे 10 साल की एज में मनाया, वो भी बाल आश्रम में। और उससे पहले मैंने टीवी में ही देखा था कि बड़े लोग बर्थडे मनाते हैं, उनके बच्चे जब पैदा होते हैं तो खुशियाँ मनाई जाती है, मिठाई बांटा जाता है। लेकिन मेरा बर्थडे पहली बार बाल आश्रम में मनाया गया जब मैं मात्र 10 साल का था। वो मैं कभी नहीं भूल सकता। एक वो दिन और एक आज का दिन मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी में कभी नहीं भूल सकता हूँ। कक्षा 7वीं से लेकर के 12वीं तक मैं हमेशा अपने क्लास का टॉपर रहा। शुरुआत में चीज़ें मुश्किल थी, नए टीचर्स, नए एनवायरनमेंट और सब कुछ नया, बट आफ्टर सम टाइम इट ऑल फेल इन माई फेवर। एंड मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि मैं वो हर चीज़ कर सकता हूँ जो मैं चाहता हूँ। इवन स्काई वॉज नॉट द लिमिट फॉर मी। Even sky was not the limit for me. As it said that when you really want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. No, it's not Shah Rukh Khan. Many of you might be thinking, but it's Paulo Coelho who wrote this line in his bestseller Alchemist. Yes. My school life saw many achievements, and I have won so many awards in my school competition and in debates. मैं हमेशा गर्मियों की छुट्टी में अपने दोस्तों के साथ में आसपास के गांव में जाता था, नाचता था, गाता था, सामाजिक गीतों के द्वारा, सामाजिक नाटकों के द्वारा अपने दोस्तों के साथ में लोगों को बाल विवाह, बाल मजदूरी और बाल व्यापार के बारे में जाकर के उनको जागरूक करता था। Actually, this was the part of Mukti Karwa. Mukti Karwa is a movement on wheels against exploitations run by BBA. मैं शमशेरिया में अपने गांव में भी जाता था छुट्टियों में, और वहाँ के माता पिता से बात करता था, बच्चों से बात करता था और उनको शिक्षा को लेकर के जागरूक करता था, उनको सामाजिक बुराइयों के बारे में बताता था। और आज मुझे बहुत ही ज़्यादा खुशी हो रही है ये शेयर करते हुए कि मैं अपने गांव के 8 बच्चों को बाल मजदूरी से छुड़ा करके उनका स्कूल में दाखिला कराया। मेरे गांव के सभी बच्चे अब स्कूल जाते हैं, कोई भी बच्चा बाल मजदूरी नहीं करता, सभी बच्चे स्कूल जाते हैं। When I got the chance to speak in International Labour Organization in 2009, I asked the leaders from all over the world that in upcoming 10 or 15 years, will we be able to eradicate child labor, where education is the birthright for every child? They all agreed to it and they said they will work with zeal and full compassion. लेकिन अभी भी हमें बहुत काम करने की ज़रूरत है, बहुत सारे बच्चे ऐसे हैं जो स्कूल से बाहर हैं, जो सपना नहीं देख सकते। हमें अभी बहुत काम करने की ज़रूरत है। मेरे जैसे और सारे मेरे भाई बहन जो राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर जाकर के बाल मजदूरी, बाल विवाह और बाल व्यापार के मुद्दे को हाईलाइट किया, और आज पूरी दुनिया में बाल मजदूरी एक अहम मुद्दा है, जिसमें रजिया, पायल, देवली, किंसु, अमरलाल, सुमन, कालू ऐसे अनगिनत नाम हैं जिन्होंने जाकर के राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर जो बाल मजदूरी का मुद्दा है उसको उठाया। When I got the chance to speak in Trust Women Conference in 2014, I represented those millions unheard voices, and I urged everybody present there to make sure that no child loses his or her life in mines anymore. Thank you. I was also the part of Bharat Yatra, a historic march to spread awareness about child trafficking and child sexual abuse, led by our Bhai Sahib ji. Many of my friends from Balashram, now they are following their dreams and passion and making everyone proud in their own way. So here, I would like to share with you few of them. First is Kinsu Kumar. He was a car cleaner and he represented children in America and on education in European Union. Now he is an engineer and he is working for the children in Balashram. Shubham was rescued from hotel and Sunil worked in Bricklin. Both are now engineers and they are working with Power Grid Corporation of India. Amarlal was rescued from Stone Quarry. He was a bonded child laborer. He represented child laborers in UNESCO's high-level meetings in Senegal, and now he is a lawyer. Ram Bhajan has his own tailoring shop. Suman Kumar Mehto, who was a domestic child laborer, now he is running his own yoga studio in New Delhi. Rahul Jamra, he is a policeman now. So these all success stories tell us that there is fire in every child, we just need to ignite it. Our world has the capacity to astounding achievements and changes, but yet it has been dead slow in ensuring changes for our children. But it is never too late to do your bit. It is never too late to stand for what is just. It is never too late. Here, I would like to tell you that what you can do in your individual capacity to stop child exploitations. Do not accept anything from a place where you find a child is working, not even a glass of water. And all kind of relations with these people if they are not listening your request to send those child back his or her home. Inform immediately on child helpline number on 1098 if you find any child in distress. You must have the courage to raise your voices against exploitations. And you must have the courage to raise your voices and ask questions to your MPs, MLAs, that what are they doing for such children. Write them letters, write them emails on Twitter and on Facebook pages to them. And you should do this when upcoming general election is coming. You must do this. As a responsible citizen, I hope that you all will do this for the betterment of our children. And today from this platform, I request all of you to join 100 million campaign. 100 million campaign was started by our Bhai Sahib ji to inspire youth from all across the world becoming change makers, where they will not speak out for only themselves, but they will speak out for millions of their less privileged brothers and sisters to realize their dream, dignity, and education. Over 100 million children endure multitude of conditions which make them deprived of their dignity, their childhood, and their potential. So by taking youth-led community approach, 100 million campaign seems to break this vicious cycle of illiteracy, poverty, and violence, where no child is left out and every individual of the world will get the chance to fulfill their potential. 100 million campaigns in the world where all young people are free from all forms of exploitations and safe from the threats of trafficking, exploitations, and disaster. Enjoy free and quality education in a safe learning environment with great learning resources and trained teachers. So for this, we all have to work in perfect coordination, and I think and I do believe that without compassion, it is not possible. It is not possible without compassion. Bhai Sahab ji often says that we have to globalize the compassion. Let's globalize the compassion and make sure that no child should be born to work, no child should be born to suffer anyway. And most importantly, no child should be denied their dream for what they have right. So now it's time to take action. We all have to work in coordination. So do your bit and make this world safe for our children. क्योंकि अभी नहीं तो फिर कभी नहीं. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That standing ovation is for your resilience and tenacity. The confidence that you saw is what you get not by getting on stage every single time, but when you go through fire in life. That's the confidence he had. Thank you so much for coming over. I assure you at least half of this audience would do something for what you said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. This is a token of appreciation on behalf of NitteDU.
Thank you very much.
TEDx NitteDU, this is ATC. Maintain course and continue your descent. You have 3 minutes to touchdown from runway ordinary.
Okay, I think I have got my message. We're about to land back. We took off from runway ordinary, but we're going to land back on runway extraordinary. But before that, this journey was only possible thanks to a crew of extremely enthusiastic and energetic souls who painstakingly planned every small detail so as to make this flight a very pleasurable experience. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Likewise, this journey, planning for it started 6 months back. And I believe the team out there has done an extraordinary job. Like every team, this team too had a torchbearer, a person who guided and rowed the boat through rough tide. It's my honor and privilege to welcome my good friend and the organizer of today's event, Indu Kurup.
Good evening, everyone. My voice is a bit bad. So we started this around 6 months back. In fact, I would say when we had the last TED event itself. And we realized why Mangalore would really need more TED Talks. And that's how we came up with TEDx NitteDU. I can probably stand here today, take all the credit. But the fact is, I had a team of brilliant people, 70 of them who are here, who have worked for the last 6 months, and for the last few weeks, it's been sleepless nights. And I think the last 2 days, there's definitely no sleep. But I'd also like to thank few others here. First and foremost, our staff advisors, Dr. Siddharth Shetty, Dr. Balal. Nothing would have been possible without them. Our manager, Rachna ma'am. The NitteDU University, the management. In fact, the non-teaching staff who have been with us 24/7. Small ways where they have helped us, but it made a huge difference for us. The NITTE Institute of Architecture, all these beautiful creations, a huge round of applause for them. All the installations outside, we're extremely thankful to them. To the organizer of last year and our MC for today, Ajish. And to all the speakers, performers, nothing would have been possible today without you coming here, and we are so honored to have you. Our sponsors, and like I said, a huge round of applause to my team. We had split ourselves into almost, I think, 5 teams. That's logistics, productions, curation, registrations, networking, and I must say that nothing would have been possible without them. Thank you.
Thank you, Indu. Now we'll be beginning our descent, starting our descent, and I assure you we'll land by 5 o'clock. Maintain time. But before that, I have to share the life of 3 extraordinary people with you, because each has a tale for us. Can you recognize this personality? J.K. Rowling, the author of the famous Harry Potter series. Her life is a fairy tale, isn't it? A success story. Agreed? How many of you know that she contemplated suicide while she was writing the book? You can see a few hands. She lost her mother, a failed marriage, the plight of a single mom, unemployed, fighting depression. Nothing was going her way, absolutely nothing. But she continued to write. She didn't stop. Through all that, she continued to write. And what is the final product? Harry Potter. And the rest is history. What's for us in that to learn is, there's no such thing as a perfect time or the ideal time to start. Life is full of imperfections. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It will never come. If you have a dream or a goal, this is the moment. You start from here, or you're called a procrastinator. How many of you recognize him? Anyone from the audience? Yes, sir. Lance Nayak Hanumantappa, a brave soldier who fought hunger, cold, and made the supreme sacrifice on the glaciers of Siachen. He laid down his life, the line of duty, so we sleep in peace. Is he an extraordinary? This couple, this is Dr. Ravindra Kole and his wife. 30 years back, post their MBBS, they went and settled in a village called Melgat in Maharashtra. Back then, it was known for malnutrition, suicides of farmers, malaria, snake bites, poverty. He settled there because the nearest health care was 30 miles away from the village. After 30 years of service, at present, this village has no cases of malnutrition reported, no farmer deaths, poverty has come down, and it's a very, very successful village on all aspects. Now, what I'm trying to say is, when I showed the picture of J.K. Rowling, you all recognized them. Then when I showed the other two, the gentleman on the screen and this doctor couple, many of us failed to recognize them. But there's no denying one fact. They all lived extraordinary lives. So being famous is not synonymous with being extraordinary. You're supposed to be anonymous extraordinaries. I really hope the rule of 10 does not come into play today, where what all you heard, what all you saw, all the inspiration that you have received should not vanish in a fraction of 10 seconds of 10 minutes as you disembark from the aircraft. But I'm optimistic. I know this crowd will carry ahead with their goals and ambitions. Remember to accept your imperfections. Don't wait for the right time. There's no such thing as the right time. Now is the time to act. And be anonymous extraordinaries. And trust me, we need not do complex things to be called extraordinaries. Rather, simple things done the right way can turn out to be extraordinary. Thank you for flying with us. This is Ajit Sam George signing out. Thank you.